Hi guys, I am Susan. I'm a healer, an intuitive, an empath. I am going today to continue with the process of trying to talk through some of the healing sessions that I do to give you a greater understanding of how they work, if they would be helpful to you, how this work is done, why it is impactful. So the one I'm feeling drawn to talk about today is the Ancestral Healing session. I've noticed people have been starting to ask about this one again recently, so I want to give you understanding of it, what we do and how it works, what it does. I want to start by saying all healers will see things differently. Each of us will get the information differently. There may be, the way that I see things is the way that I need to see it, but for others, they may have seen it differently. They may explain it differently, use different words for it. It doesn't matter. Just go with whatever resonates with you. If you've seen it differently, follow that. This is, it's a very personal journey for everybody, and we each of us see what we're supposed to see. We understand things in the way we're supposed to understand them. So just, come to this open, and if it resonates with you, take it the way that is right for you. So for me, for Jennifer too, we use crystal grids for our work. The crystal grid is the work area. It's where we invite the energies forward, because a lot of our sessions, the work is done on a soul level. So we're working in the quantum. We're inviting your soul, your energy to step forward to be a part of this work. And so the area that I use for this one, this is the photograph of it, is, I love this grid. It's possibly one of my favorites we've done. Sorry, the light is reflecting on it a little bit. So this grid it's representative of what we're doing. In part, it looks to me like lungs, like something that is living and breathing, something organic. But it also is this side. I was talked to, Metatron showed this to me as, these are the members of your ancestral line who are incarnated now. And then this side is all of those within your ancestral line who are not incarnated right now. This is a big group that we're working with. I think when I'm doing the work, I try not to think about that. They don't show it to me that way because, it doesn't serve them for someone to be hesitant or fearful. But this grid is a useful way of looking at this and just saying, this is how many souls you are impacting with this work. To do this definitely is a soul contract, something that you agreed to do before you came to this lifetime. Something that is your job, something that you are doing. The crystal that's at the center of this grid is this one here. It's a smoky quartz. I think Jennifer told me its real name once. Marian quartz. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I love this crystal. It's very powerful. It's on the matrix still, it's got all of these energies in it. So this is the one that's at the center. And you'll see on the grid, hold it the right way up. These are separate, but they're not really separate. It's not a big line of division. It's not a solid line of division. It's, it's two things that coexist. They're separated, but not in the way it sometimes may feel to us. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, about the grid and this. So for me, when I'm working on this, I invite forward your soul, the souls of your ancestral line, onto the grid, and this is where we work, pulling from the energies of the sacred geometry, from the energy of the crystals, giving us a way to add power and to open energies that we need for this work. As far as your ancestral line, this is where sometimes it can get confusing, like who is your ancestral line? And I feel like I don't have all of the information on this. I'm given what I need to understand. So your ancestral line, for the purposes of this session, we clear trauma from the DNA. But the DNA can be your physical DNA, those that are your ancestors. If you do ancestry.com or something like that and you get all the lineage, that is your ancestral line. But so too, you have energetic DNA. Energetic DNA is more about your soul family. So they're impacted too. So doing this session, you're impacting, you know, it'd be your children, your parents, your grandparents, you know, siblings, anybody that shares your DNA in this time. But also you're impacting those who share energetic DNA with you. I know people have different names for that. I'm just going to keep it as energetic so that it just is clear, physical and energetic DNA. When we're clearing things from the DNA, it looks usually like one strand. Like, well, I say strand, I expected it to look like a strand, but really when I look, it looks like a grid. And I can see the things in there that we need to move, and we can go in and take out trauma, take out whatever it is that they're showing me needs to be cleared from this ancestral line. For the most part, they don't differentiate between physical and energetic DNA. We are working in both. But there may be times, like I did a session this morning for this, where there are physical impacts, physical things. And so that we have to address within the physical DNA as a separate thing. But really, you know, what's impacting the ancestral line for everybody can be different. You know, it could be something physical. But it could also be, is there a contract back there? Is there some dark magic back there? Is there, I don't know, it could be anything. There's so many things that could have happened back there that are impacting your ancestral line. So, you know, when something passes through the ancestral line, it's the same way as you get in a lifetime when you see somebody, for example, with a genetic illness and where it passes down through the DNA. And some people may get a lot of it. Some people skip it completely. It might miss a generation. But where that is carried forward, the wounding of that time, the things that are being held are present within that soul because of the way it is carrying forward. So in this session, we go into, you know, I invite forward onto the grid your soul and the souls of all of your ancestral line who want to be a part of this work. Of course, free will always comes into this. I set the intention for when your soul will receive the energies, but for everybody else, it's, you know, when they choose to receive it, because free will is always, you know, always needing to be honored. So for everybody that steps forward onto the grid, we clear a lot of things for them from the background. I start off by clearing any negative karma, any karmic debt that's able to be cleared at this time. Karmic debt is, you know, in the same way as trauma, it's something that continues to be released, something that you can, you know, clear some today, but next week or a year from now, there might be more that you're able to release. It depends where you are on your journey, what you are able to pay back, what is allowed to be paid back in line with your life path. But karmic debt is heavy. You know, if you think all of the lifetimes you've lived before, all of the things that you have done, what is it that you are beholden to? What is the weight that is on you, the things that you are paying back? You know, there can be lifetimes where you've done small things, but you may have had lifetimes where you have played a really big role, where you have, you know, created chaos, created struggle for a lot of people. Those things are great, you know, they bring around change, they shift perspectives, but to carry a bigger burden of debt is heavy, because then you come to your lifetime and there's all of the things that you want to do, but also you're like, oh, I have to pay back these debts, you know, and those karmic debts could be health related, abundance related, about communication, relationships, business, and any part of your life, you know, how much of your connection you have access to. It can all be related to something that you are paying back. So as we can lift that, clearing from each, you know, you and those within your ancestral line, all of the karmic debt that can be repaid at this time, it's huge. I do that by inviting forward all of those with whom your souls owe karmic debt. So just, I mean, when I'm doing the work, I don't feel it, but when I'm looking at it now, how many souls is that? How many souls do you touch when, you know, your ancestral line is already huge, but then all of those they hold karmic debt with? And we're doing healing for them. We're doing some trauma removal. We're clearing some blocks for them. It's huge. You know, you're impacting so many souls with this session. And No, to pay debt back in this way is of benefit to you and of benefit to them. No, ordinarily to pay or to release trauma, to do the healing work, you have to be incarnated. I'm working on a soul level. I don't know how many of these souls are incarnated. So you're helping people who are not incarnated, people that may not be on a path of healing, to be able to receive the healing. For them still to make progress, even if that's not the path they chose, if that's not where they are right now. So it's huge for you to be able to move forward in a different way, to not be burdened by these things, but it's also of benefit to those who are receiving the healing. So there is balance in what is being done, benefit for each. So when we've done that, we work on clearing any dark energies that are around these versions of the soul. I work with a portal to do that because it's so many energies. To do it one by one would be just, not really possible. So I use a portal to do this. And I ask that they clear all dark energies, hexes, any kind of dark energy that may be around your soul, that doesn't serve your highest good and well-being. What is it that's around there that doesn't need to be there? So that gets cleared. Then we clear energetic attachments. So energetic attachments are low vibrational energies that would attach to you. They will attach to trauma. They'll attach to lower emotions. They slow your path. They hold you back. They amplify the things that you may struggle with. They just make it harder for you to move forward. We cut energetic cords that are connecting you to anything in time, space, dimensional reality that no longer serves your highest good and well-being. An energetic cord, it's a connection to another time, another place. Is it blocking you from something that could be great for you in this time? Because in your energy, you're thinking, oh, this is not good. This hasn't worked out. And just because it didn't work out before, it doesn't mean that it won't work out now. It could be something really important that you're missing. So we clear energetic cords. And this is done for everybody in your ancestral line. When that is cleared, we do trauma removal and then some energetic healing around that. Just allowing each of you to let go of the things you don't need. For many lifetimes you've learned these lessons and you can hold the learning, but you don't need to still have the trauma in your energy, the things that would be holding you back, creating unnecessary fears. So that is done. And then that's when we go into the DNA, when I'm shown what it is that we clear. And I will clear, what it is that they want us to see in this is something that they call the original trauma. The original trauma is an event, something that happened to the soul that was so intense in whatever way it is, that it has altered something within the DNA. It has changed something, modified something, so that now as it is passing down, the trauma from that event is going from generation to generation. Bringing forward trauma that essentially is not yours. And that trauma will then create new trauma, because as you respond to this trauma, what other traumas come from that? How do your reactions and your responses, whatever it is that comes from this, how do they impact you? How do they change your path? How do they restrict you? So that's what we're clearing from the DNA. I'll go in and clear the original trauma, but also any traumas that have come after that. Any trauma that I am allowed to clear from the ancestral line. If there's anything else that's allowed to be cleared, that will be done too. But this always depends on what is free will. What was the agreement for this time? Your higher selves are always in charge of this work. To do this, it's the higher selves of each who is a part of the work, and Archangel Metatron, who is guiding the work, who is showing what can be done, giving access to the things that are here to be cleared. So the original trauma, which is what we will talk through during the Zoom call, if we do it, and it's always in the notes. I use an app that transcribes everything, so I will, as we're doing the work, talk through it, bringing through the information, any messages that are given, what it is that I am shown. And the trauma could be anything. It can be something that created great fear for you. It can be a restriction that is back there. I mean, I've seen this go so many different ways that I don't want to give you ideas of what it would be, because every single one of them is different. But there's times when we have found that there was galactic DNA in with the DNA. There's been times when there was toxins within the DNA, times when there has been dark magic within the DNA. Other times where there's intense fear, there's intense guilt. Sometimes the impacts of this can, especially when it's been guilt, there can be things that are clearing from the family line that could relate to addiction, to how you're viewing yourself, how you're seeing yourself, how you are treating yourself, how you are treating others. Can restrict your access to abundance. It can impact health. I don't know if I said that already. There's all of these different ways that it can carry forward. But if you're coming to each lifetime, and this is already in there, and other members of your family have this too, and suddenly you have these wounds that you're triggering within each other, and they're bringing in these patterns of behavior, things that are destructive, that are damaging, that are slowing down your progress, that are blocking you, creating more trauma. It can be a really powerful move to have somebody go in and clear these things, to be able to lift this from your ancestral line. And how this plays out for each person is different. Obviously, when you're doing this work, it's impacting future generations. They're going to come down free of this. Those who already have these things in their energy, it may clear for them. It may make the situation more gentle. It may ease things for them. It always depends on the life path. Do the lessons you had chosen for this time relate to this trauma, to this path? But this work is huge. It's big, and you're impacting so many souls. Any work that you do on a soul level is important. Making me feel emotional as I bring that up. But if you think about it, even just for your own soul, you have who you are now, but look at all the other versions of your soul, all the other incarnations that you've had. And if you're clearing something like this, if you're clearing all of these things, the karmic debt, the dark energies, all of these things from these energies, what are you impacting? How are you changing your path? If you're clearing things that have been a burden in other lifetimes, that have created trauma in other lifetimes, how does that now play forward? If you're changing trauma in the background, how does that impact the other lifetimes? How does that impact your path? And then how does that play forward into who you are now? If you don't have those same traumas back there, if you don't have those same triggers, those same wounds, if they're not as intense as they were, how does that impact you now? How does that change your path? There could be anything that changes. Sometimes it's something happens that in the past has really triggered you, really upset you, and now it may happen again, and suddenly you realize that you were like, I don't care, because you don't have that trigger back there. It can be, is there a food you didn't like to eat? Did you have a fear of water? Did you have a fear of fire? What were the things in your life that were making you struggle? And how can they be impacted as you touch the energies of other lifetimes, of other versions of your soul, as you clear from them things that have created trauma? I didn't think they were going to bring that up, but it must be important here, and I just want to bring forward everything that I am being given. To me, this is a fascinating session, fascinating work, and just something that can impact so many souls beyond your own, that can change the path of so many souls. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that one and just give you some information. So I hope that this insight is helpful to just walk through this session and give you greater understanding of what it does, how it works, who it impacts. If you're interested in this session, on the webpage for it, you can request a session. Or if you have some questions, you can reach out, comment below this video, comment, send us an email and ask the question. I hope this is helpful. Okay, bye.